Hey, kings and queens, welcome to another episode of Elevate with E. It's E here, Warner Hughes, CEO of Great Gale LLC, dedicated to rewriting the narrative. And this is a podcast aimed at helping you elevate over the limits life throws at you. So, on to today's topic, AOO, advantage of obscurity. So, what's an advantage? It means a condition or circumstance that plants one in a favorable or a superior position. Obscurity means the state of being unknown, inconspicuous, or unimportant. So again, advantage means a condition or circumstance that puts one in a favorable or superior position. Obscurity means the state of being unknown, inconspicuous, or unimportant. Quality of being difficult to understand. That's another meaning for obscurity. So how does this apply to you? How does this help you? This is one of the most important things I could ever mention. We all, if we are in a season of obscurity, we've faced a season of obscurity, or we've overcome a season of obscurity. This is so important. There are so many times when we want to get to the goal, we want to get to our destination, but you're going to have to go through some dry seasons. You're going to have to go through some times when it feels like it's very bland or just vague and hard to see where to go. These are the seasons of obscurity that we all have to go through. It's never easy, but it's worth it. I mean, when I even look over my life, going from an idea to an execution, finishing bullshit saga. Now we've had successful Kickstarter, and we're in production for chapter 3 and chapter 4. This is all phenomenal. But I didn't just get here today. This is a process that's been in the making ever since way back in 2003. And even before then. Because I've been living in New York for most of my life. And back when I was younger, I used to live in the Bronx. It was so fun back then. Boston Road, and so many good times, man. But then I moved to the Caribbean, and that just really changed everything for me, because that's literally, in my opinion, the season of obscurity for me. Oh my gosh. And what do I mean by that? I was told I went to the Caribbean when we moved from the city, because I used to live in the Bronx, to like the Caribbean. Where we were at in the Caribbean was the countryside, and it was nice seeing. It's very natural. Antigua is a very beautiful island. But when we got to the grandparents' house, I was told there was a satellite with 1,000 channels. I was gonna be able to watch all this TV, and just it won't feel too difficult from New York. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Moved. Just to see what it's like. The second I stepped into the house, to my grandparents' house, can you believe an earthquake hits the house? Honest to God, I kid you not. An earthquake the house. God, I was confused. I'm like, is that earthquake? Oh, I heard, and I even heard, I felt it. The entire ground was shaking. It was so disturbing, and I knew it was for me because I stepped in the house first. I was like, I turned. I was like, TV! And then TV turned. It was like, warning! And it stretched out. We were too far away. Oh my gosh. The TV shifted. The earthquake threw the satellite off its axis. And from that point onwards, the TV never worked the same. The satellite never worked the same. Went from an abundance of channels to just scarcity in channels. Went full 24 hours to feeds, and if you've ever had to deal with feeds, very annoying. It's basically like, instead of a 24-hour cycle of a channel, you get like maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, and it's sporadic. So it'll be an hour and then static. Then you have to figure out again when it's going to come back on. It was so annoying, but it did actually work. PBS. So basically, obscurity can really get you. Season of obscurity. But don't get down on yourself. What you can do is look for solutions. One solution that really helps is activating your imagination. Now that sounds like a bright idea. Yeah, honestly. It really does. Just like I turn on the ring light. As I turn it off in the beginning. When you activate your imagination, it's just like the light above me. Use your imagination. That song by Sean and Melanin. I'm telling you, activating your imagination can change your life. It did for me. Because I have access to TV at that point. Like, all my favorite channels of Cartoon Network never worked. on that TV again, same way. Not with the satellite. Not Nickelodeon, not Disney Channel, all of the fun. So I had to activate my imagination. So what did I do? I remember having to read encyclopedias for fun and go insane. I was so bored. I remember encyclopedias from A all the way to Z. I kid you not. Learned about the different gemstones, amethyst, emerald, all of that. All the different gemstones, all parts of the. I learned so much. Then I forgot how it worked. But the point is, it was fascinating. I remember even opening up dictionaries and reading it for fun. Oh man, that's why I love verbosity. That's why I love language. That's why I love diction, because it's like that was a part of me. There was nothing else. And when I even got tired of that, I remember just drawing as much as I could, drawing from the real world, drawing from my imagination. And then on top of that, I remember I would even lay down in bed and just imagine episodes of my favorite shows like Ed and Nettie. Imagine shows that didn't exist yet. Imagine animes. Oh my gosh. It was just imagination. I loved that part of it, because when you're in a season of obscurity and there's nothing else to latch onto that can entertain you or anything, you have to dig deep within and bring it out of you. You have to tap into your own imagination. That was my entertainment, and it helped me so much, because instead of just blaming, the fact that the earth that hit, or the fact that we moved here, I didn't do that. I just looked for a solution, and that's the thing. Look for a solution, kings and queens. Don't whine about problems. Look for solutions, because talking about problems don't problem. Talking about solutions changes your life. Again, don't talk about the problem. It doesn't do much. Talk about the solution. That can change your life. What else did I do? Honestly, another thing that I remember in the season of obscurity, it can make people look down on you, limit you, and that's an advantage. Perfect example. While I was in the Caribbean, I remember I moved just like life would have it in this grade. Now, if you've ever been to the Caribbean, you may have heard of something called a common entrance exam. What that basically is, I believe it's still around now. It's been around for a while. Your grade test to go into high school, middle school, 7th, 8th, 9th, and all that other stuff. You have to go through a common entrance exam, a cumulative exam, taking everything that you've learned from 1st grade up to 5th grade and 6th grade, and even before that. Cumulative. You know how many years of compound information it is? I moved in 6th grade. I had to take the common entrance exam. Do you know how annoyed? The first day of school, I remember in Sunnyside. I remember them telling me, you have 3 state tests. I'm like, I've only been here for 5 seconds. How do you mean I have 3 tests already? But thank God Almighty, I got to skip those tests. Yes, because I know they're not the information. But the next week I had to take it. Or following weeks. It was so much so in the Caribbean. They do a ranking system. Feel like an anime. Like Hero Academia. It was crazy. It's easy because I remember they were trying to. I remember even taking an entry, and I didn't even think I was gonna pass that. They're gonna put me in C group. I thought it was D, but it's C group. Like, because they rank you by your grade. So A students are in A group, B students are in B group, C students are in C group, and D students are in D group. They'll put you in C group or D group, because we don't know how small you are. I'm like, the nerve. I was a student in when I was in New York. I'm gonna be an A student here. What did I do? I worked my behind off. I remember going from C group to B group, and when you change groups, you literally change seats. From B group to A group. Boy, when I got to A group, in my mind, I feel like I did this. Put my feet up, kicked back. I was like, yeah. You look back at the people in B and C and D group. Oh my gosh. Maybe I didn't put up my feet, but I felt like it. I remember my teacher at that point, Miss George, said, you let your want to come and bang off all you? Pass you when you're still in your classes? Are you born here and live here all this time? I was laughing in my mind because like, she's the fact that I came to Antigua, and within a process of 5 to 6 months, I was able to pass kids that have been living there most of their life, if not their entire life, knowing all the different types of islands, knowing which island did this, knowing which island did that. Caribbean, Jesus. Everything about Caribbean level education is than the American system. Everything. So it's just that not only did I have to go through the Caribbean, not only is it 6 basically of cumulative work, but it's harder. Not easier, harder. I remember my parents had to pay like $100 every week to get training. After school, there's no after school help in the Caribbean, but you have to pay them teachers for that. I remember getting, what do you call it again? Tutoring. That's what it was. It was tutoring. Paying $100 a week in EC. Oh my gosh. That was crazy. And I went and I took the common entrance and then I passed. And then after that, I went to Antigua Grammar School. And what did I do? I came first in class for like first form, which is 7th grade, second form, which is 8th grade, third form was a challenge, but that's another topic for another day. The third forms of life. Oh my gosh. Third form was the hardest form for me. But literally, when people limit you and they think that you can't do it, prove them wrong. Please, for me, kings and queens, please prove them wrong when they say that you can't do this or this. You can't be great because of your ethnicity. You can't be great because you don't know the information or anything like that. Please prove them wrong for me. But more importantly, prove them wrong for you, because they're trying to put a limit on you to try and say that you can't do this and you can't do that because we know your history. We know something about you. Prove them wrong. Prove them wrong, because that's what it's about. Don't let, because of the fact you're in a season of obscurity, let them belittle you. Show them how great you are. So again, don't let anyone put anyone on you. Overcome those limits in that aspect. Obscurity makes you hungry. I was very hungry when I was in the Caribbean. Very hungry. Not food. Hungry to like prove them wrong, and just hungry to overcome. I would look at the challenges of life and be like, who you think you are, son? You trying to step to me? Anxiety, fear, depression, worry, feeling like lost. Oh my gosh. There were times when it was down, and there were times when I didn't feel like I was going to make it out, honestly. But I didn't let it stop me, because we're human. We go through emotions, energy and motion. Sometimes life will just left you and you feel like there's no way out, but you have to power through. You have to have something that gives you an anchor into reality that tells you that there is still light at the end of the tunnel. And no, it's not a train coming towards you. You're towards the exit. It is possible, and it makes you very hungry. That when I was a kid in the Caribbean, I would draw with such an intensity. I would create with such an intensity. People would be talking about, oh yeah, I'm working on this rocket and this thing and that, working on the flying ship. Boy, I would be like, did you see this mock booster I made with the whole, chemical components? And be like, what are you talking about, man? Like, that's so cool. Why? Because not only was I very hungry in terms of art, I was very hungry in terms of information. So I would always like merge the two between creative and informational into one. And you see with both sides when you read it. You know what I'm talking about? It's the same thing. Obscurity makes you hungry. It makes you want to want better. It makes you want to come. It makes you want to rise to the challenge and then slay. Carpe diem. Conquer the day. Conquer the challenges that life is throwing at you. Obscurity also makes you humble. Because of the fact you know what it's like to be down. You know what it's like to be low. You know what it's like when you have no way out. You know what it's like when you feel stuck in like the mud, and you like quicksand or mud, and you just can't go further. You know what it's like when people bring you down or try and limit you. So how then can you be proud and mock people and because they're at a level where you were at the past? No. Obscurity makes you humble. Be humble. Sit down. I'm just kidding. Honestly, humble. You have to be humble, because humble preserves your character, your integrity, and it helps you to progress at a level that is amazing. When you get too proud and arrogant and you think you're all that, you kind of mess up. So be humble. Be humble. And that's what obscurity does. And I mentioned it before, prove them wrong. Please don't let people get the last laugh and try and say, oh yeah, we were right. They couldn't do it. They couldn't overcome. They couldn't finish their manga. They couldn't start their business. Don't let people have the last laugh. Don't do it. When people try and mock you and say, oh, you can't do a manga. You're not Japanese. Really? Okay. So that means that only people from the Bronx could do hip hop. If you're only born in the Caribbean, you can play the steel pan and make steel pan music. I mean, like, what are we talking about? If that was the case, no one would be doing rock and roll, because the guitar is made by black people. So it's just like, prove them wrong. Show them how great you are with your education, with your information, and show them who you are. And I mentioned before, again, obscurity makes you You know what it's like to be down? It just makes you have a different type of drive, and it makes you honor your craft. I remember I would draw and 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 draw because there was nothing else to draw from. I mean, yes, we get like maybe Fox 5 that would come on the weekend, maybe. I mean, that's how I got into One Piece. And Fox 5 would come on, Fighting Foodons, One Piece, Sonic X, yeah, Fighting Foodons, and then One Piece, yeah, all those great shows, man, they helped. But they were gone for the rest of the week. It was just Dragon Tales, let's all go to Dragonland. And, George Strinks, Clifford, and my cousin Andrew was there too. He was a kid, so he wouldn't draw that. I'm like, wow. At least it's something. Something is better than nothing. So be grateful for what you have. But honestly, honor your craft. Work relentlessly on it. That's why I'm able to draw to the level that I am today. And I feel I'm only going to continuously progress because I remember when there was nothing. All that was left was the art. All that was left was the drawing. All that was left was the creativity. And literally, and it's so true, you become very genuine when you are in a season of obscurity. Why? Because you can't lie to yourself. You have to be honest with where you are, but you have to be honest with where you're going. So you can't be puffed up. You're humble. There's such an advantage in obscurity. It's so important. That's why it's not good to just seek fame and fortune and blowing up immediately, because your character hasn't really been tested or actually been put through anything. You have to go through seasons when you're up and you're down so that when you reach the top, you can actually be the type of person who can maintain the top. That's the advantage of obscurity, the AOO. You have to be ready for where you're going. So who you are to be, you are becoming, like Dr. Eric Thomas said. But in order to get there, there is a process, a procedure. Don't rush the process. Trust the process. Process, as Dr. Eric Thomas says. It's easy, but it's worth it. Because when you reach that point and you reach that success, your season of obscurity, that advantage of obscurity, it helps tell you further, farther, faster, higher, deeper than anyone else that's in your lane. And honestly, I mentioned before being hungry, but obscurity activates your ambition. I am this level of ambitious because I was in a season of obscurity. Because I remember going to school and people saying, or teachers basically saying, or the sister basically saying, you're not smart enough to be here. Even when I came back to New York, they still said, oh, you're from the Caribbean. Oh, you don't really know what we're doing. So we're not going to put you in 10th grade-ish, in 10th, 9th grade. That's what I called it. Every grade in high school in New York, I was half. I was 10th, 11th, 12th, because they're like, you're here, you qualify for 10th grade, but we don't know if you really know 9th grade logic and all this stuff. So we're going to put you with those type of classes. I mean, it was kind of at first, but eventually I got into it because I'm like, you know what? If this is what they say, I'm going to prove them wrong. I'm to get annoyed because I'm like, this is what you really think? Have you been to a Caribbean school? That man put you to work. Boy, they put you to work. I remember, I believe, in third form, we were doing 13 or 14 subjects. Not like 13 or 14. 13 or 14 subjects. Different choice of Spanish or French. It was both. You would learn social studies, learn math and physics. Oh my gosh. Sure. Woo. Physical education was leave optional after third form. They put you through the ringer. But you can't a very, very, very intelligent person do that. I'm telling you. And they ranked you. If that wasn't bad. It's just like in My Hero Academia. Literally. How they have the ranking system. Where they rank you from the smartest kid to the kid that needs the most help. They're the same thing in Indian boy. Oh my gosh. So the long short is this. You have to have a season of obscurity. You have to go through the challenges. You have to go through so that you can grow through. You have to overcome because it's imperative to do that. Because if you overcome, if you don't go through the season of obscurity and overcome this season of obscurity, then honestly, there's someone else that's waiting for you. There's someone else that's waiting for you to overcome so that you can be like, wow. When you actually overcome, you actually finish and you've done the season of obscurity and you've passed it, that means I can go through it too. I can be the person who I need to be. And that is so important because Literally, I was just talking to Young King early in my life. He was saying he's an up and coming mangaka or comic creator. What tips do you have? I wouldn't be able to relate with him and tell him honest to God what has helped me if I go through a season of obscurity. Yes, you do it because you've reached a certain level of success and all that. But I gave heartfelt, true information that's really helpful because honestly, not everyone's gonna tell you truth that can help you. They may tell you things that can make or benefit them. But if you truly want to be successful, one of the best things you can do is be humble. It's remember where you are and give people honest help and feedback because each one reach one. All ships rise in high tide, and when I help him, he can help someone else, and that's a chain reaction so that more people can become creative. So again, there is an advantage of obscurity. I remember we've gone from humble beginnings, some ideas, from having power cut in the Caribbean, all of that, and now we have Afrofuturism manga. It's actually done. We have chapter 1 and chapter 2 physically in print, physically done. We literally have had a successful Kickstarter. We have actually, this is a new one. We actually had an op-ed article added to Blavity. You know how crazy it is? There's only 2 articles on manga in Blavity. One's community-based, talking about some type of craziness they did, showcasing, oh my gosh, typical way how they show black people in manga. Cannon fodder, basically mercifying them, ending them, because it fits the agenda. Or in addition to that, that's one story, and the other story is Bold Saga. 7 keys that can help you when you're on your goals, your dreams, all of that, and it's amazing. B- Studio said it. Bold Saga is a manga, self-help book, and we're here to help you. So check that out, and it's just because we wouldn't have gotten to Blavity, and Blavity is gigantic. One of the number one places you want to go to black news, black media, all the type of stuff. They're up there. Like, in my opinion, they're apex. They're incredible. So up there, and then right next to them is like Shade, and all the rest. So to be on that platform is amazing. It is, but we wouldn't have gotten there without the season of obscurity. Wouldn't have gotten there, honestly, and with integrity without a season of obscurity. So I encourage you. There is an advantage in obscurity. And that brings us to the power quote of the day, which is literally, obscurity be a fire of ambition in those who have stalwart souls. Again, obscurity can be a fire of ambition in those who have stalwart souls. Taylor. So untrue. It's so true. When you have that obscurity, it really fires you up to prove wrong, and it really taps into your ambition. Ambition is such an important thing. Ambition and truly helps you. Oh my gosh, it's incredible. So on to the upcoming topics and the upcoming events. We said it before, and this is so true. Saga Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 are physically available right now. This is a story that's empowering and impacting and encouraging our young kings and queens to seize greatness, to realize you don't have to look like everyone else or adapt how they dress or how they talk or how they look culturally, or celebrate that, to realize that you're great, to realize that you're cool. What I basically mean that this is an Afrofuturism manga where the character is not the only black kid in this world. They're the butt of the joke. They're not a rapping ninja. There's no beat. These bars are back to white, or a scaredy cat, pirate, or anyone else like that that's mocking. This is more respectful, kind of like when they looked at Canary in HH Hunter. Literally, it's not that, but it's more about authentic representation. It's more about when you see a character's also Khoi, Zulu, African language, even Antiguan dialect. The Caribbean, massive. Literally for the culture, literally. And this is what we're doing Saga. Afrofuturism manga for the culture. That's Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, both available on Amazon for physical copies. Payhip.com/Gail can get the amazing HD quality. Each chapter has educational pages and tons of bonus content. Learn more. Learn of African cultures, African kingdoms, the actual. Oh my God! There's so much. Even the Adinkra. It's phenomenal story. It's incredible. for your young kings and queens, for you to enjoy, for the entire family. Amazing. So check it out. It's truly amazing. And Saga is on the app by Black fans. If you want to get a gist of what the story is about, it's available there, so you can check that out. It does not have content. Bonus content is only available in physical or HD ebook versions. But if you want to get a gist of what the story is about, check it out the app. If you want to get the full story and get the full gravity of how amazing, impactful, inspiring, and educational this is, check it out on Amazon for the physical, PayHip for the digital. The shift is here, kings and queens. The shift is here. So excited. What that means is we're working on new videos and courses teaching to make a manga. Not only have we done it, we want to help you to do it so that you can turn your idea into reality. In addition to that, we'll be over graphic design, how to make a logo, graphic design, the 5 pillars, entrepreneurship, marketing, even branding. Talking about that in about 5. Brand is so important. Brand can push your products even when you're not talking. Your brand stands for you, and your brand is what separates you from the competition. But truly highlights the best qualities of you. So I'm going to be going over that. Join our mailing list. Hit the link in the bio on our Instagram, or we'll even link it below. It's true. It's so impactful, and it's so encouraging, because when you have these tips, when you watch these courses, you will learn lessons that can help propel you. Because just to recap, for Saga, every time you see the book, every time you're looking at it, remember, Great Gale, which is the business that I have. I work with my wife on this as well. We are doing the art. We are writing the story. We are illustrating the story. We are self-publishing the story. Marketing the story. We are doing the videos. The actual trailer that just hit 1,000 on YouTube. Doing that. All of that. In addition to do the social media posts on social media as well for Instagram. So if you want to learn these tools, can help you propel your book, propel your business, because that I tell you aren't just for manga. Although we are teaching you how to do manga, you can use all these tips to help propel your business and to get more meaningfulness, to be able to relate more with your target audience. So again, check it out. Check Patreon is soon. We have so much in store. I can share it all with you. And again, more amazing events are around the horizon. So you're going to stay up to date with things Bold Saga when you follow us at Great Gale Co. on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Clubhouse, and Fanbase. And thank you for listening. Remember, there's an advantage in obscurity. This is your time. This is your season. It's time to elevate.